August the 7th is National Purple Heart Day. That's when Americans express our gratitude to veterans who were wounded or killed defending our freedoms. In our audience tonight, we are honored to have several veterans and Purple Heart recipients with us. I'd like to ask all of our veterans to stand, and if you would stand and remain standing if you are a veteran. And among these folks standing, go ahead and stand up, veterans. Let's see you. And among these who are standing, a number of these folks are Purple Heart recipients. And we are grateful to God that you have given us our freedom. We thought the best way to observe Purple Heart Day would be to introduce you to someone who is a Purple Heart recipient. And he's helping other veterans heal through the gift of art and music. Please welcome the co-founder of CreatiVets, Marine combat veteran Richard Casper. Richard, welcome. It's great having you.
Thank you. It's so great to be on the show.
4 years in the Marine Corps, and you were hit with 4 different IED devices over a 4-month period, suffering traumatic brain injury. That's a long way from starting a foundation that helps people who are veterans to connect to music and the arts. Yeah. What happened that took you there?
So those injuries were staggering, because before war, I was not an artist. I was not a musician. I'm from a town of 1,100 people, small farming community where art doesn't exist really. Yeah. And so I was the type, rode a Harley, tattoos, I'm not doing art. So I get blown up, and I have, and also my buddy was shot and killed beside me. And all this happened legitimately in 4 months. I was considered unfit for duty because I had a left traumatic brain injury. But when I transitioned out of the Marine Corps, I touched down from Iraq to 29 Palms, and I just checked out of the Marine Corps. I didn't know I was injured. They didn't send me to Balad. In 2007, TBI wasn't a big thing, or PTSD wasn't a big thing. So I didn't even get treated for it. It took me 11 years to actually get my Purple Heart. That's a whole nother side story. But when I was transitioning out, again, now I'm here, I didn't know I was as injured as I was, and I'm gonna attack life, and I'm gonna take 6 months off just to kind of live, because I almost died so many times, why not live a little bit? So that 6 months is over, and I'm ready to go to college, get a degree, go into maybe a 3-letter agency or something, use my background, and all of a sudden I was halted. I had extreme crippling anxiety and depression that I didn't know where it was coming from. I had to do one-on-one speeches with my speech teacher in college. And so I was like, I'm just gonna get an easy cop-out degree in art. I'm just gonna be around people who don't wanna talk to me, I don't wanna talk to them. And long story short, it legitimately saved my life. They taught me how to tell my story without actually telling my story. And then I started getting into creative writing and thinking I'm a 6'5" combat Marine that rides Harleys. I don't wanna cry in front of people, but every time I brought up Luke Yepsen, who was shot and killed beside me, I cried. I said, what if I could write a song that I could just give to someone and walk away? So now they know Luke lived, and I can have that comfort knowing I told my story.
You now connect veterans with songwriters in Nashville, which makes sense. There are more songwriters here than there are people serving food at Waffle House. So you connect them and get these veterans, some of whom are not necessarily musicians, but they work with professional songwriters and team up. Richard, lives are being saved with what you're doing. I mean, you're taking away that suicide rate of 23 people a day. What is it that's so powerful about music and the lives of these veterans?
You've never met someone who says, I don't like music. You can meet a lot of people who say, I don't like horses, I don't like water, I don't like art. I've never heard one human say, I don't like music. And so for one, there's that connectivity. But what happens in the room and how we're set up too, understanding what I went through, I didn't have any money. I needed a battle buddy, and my anxieties were so bad that I couldn't leave my house. So when I built these programs, I said, well, I need to make sure that their excitement outweighs their anxieties, that they have funding, and they have a battle buddy. So every veteran that comes through our program, at first it was just me that called them back. I said, hey, I was blown up 4 times, my buddy was killed beside me, what'd you go through? And they tell me, and I said, well, when I fly you to Nashville, I'm gonna pay for your flight, your food, your housing. We're gonna write backstage at the Grand Ole Opry, and I'm gonna be with you every step of the way so you tell that story that you need to tell. And so we've expanded from that one-on-one to now 5 veterans coming at a time. When we fly in a Vietnam veteran, we fly in a Vietnam writer mentor with him.
Wow.
And they're paired with those 2 songwriters or artists. And what happens in that room, it's so hard to explain, but we're repurposing the memories that they had on those old experiences. So when they tell me, Richard, I can't tell my wife this, but I did this in Iraq, or I saw this. We write a song about that. When we're done with the song, the first person they text it to is their wife. Because they're like, babe, listen to the song I just wrote in Nashville, and they're so pumped up. So there's that, it's weird because you get excited about the worst thing that's ever happened to you, and you start sharing it, and you share it so fast that you're like, oh man, I just shared my whole story, but then you start having conversations about it, and it's just something magical about it.
And Richard, I have to believe that not only is it changing the lives of the veterans, but it's changing the lives of those songwriters who are working with the veterans. They're not the same either.
It's not, and it's even the family members. Something I never expected. I thought about it, but I didn't expect it. The first time a song ever hit the radio that we wrote, I had an email from a spouse who said, my husband is a Marine, he has PTSD, but he's never been treated for it because he acts like he doesn't have it, but I know he does. When I came home after hearing your song on the radio, I played it for him and another one you had on your website. He started telling me about things he went through in war because he connected so much with that veteran in the song.
Wow.
And I was like, we're not just helping the veterans now, we're helping the spouses, we're helping civilians understand and bridging that gap between the military-civilian divide just through music.
Richard, it may be one of the most amazing things I've ever heard of in helping veterans. I believe music is so powerful, so therapeutic, and what you're doing to connect veterans through music and songwriting, all I can do is stand back in awe and say, God bless you, and thank God for what you're doing. How wonderful. I hope that you want to learn more about the organization CreatiVets, as well as how you can join their work in lifting up our veterans. If you want to do that, and I sure hope you do, visit Huckabee.tv. We have information on Richard's organization.